This product is available through the link in the description box below. If you've spent any time looking at PC hardware lately, you've seen the flood of reviews pushing the AMD Ryzen 9800X3D as an absolute uncompromising must-have for your next build. But dropping top dollar on the highest tier processor doesn't automatically buy you the best gaming experience. In fact, if you allocate your budget blindly, it can actually hurt your system's performance. Building a great PC requires balancing your entire system. Buying an overpowered part while ignoring the rest of your hardware is a fast track to wasting your hard-earned cash. This chart maps system cost against real-world gaming experience. The 9800X3D sits isolated up here, maximizing benefits only under highly specific, expensive conditions. Contrast that with a standard mid-tier CPU. For most PC builders today, this middle ground delivers significantly better baseline value. Getting the best frame rates means ignoring the affiliate hype. You have to audit your specific desk setup to see if you actually need this processor. Let's look at the real math of upgrading, especially if you're running an older AMD processor. You can't just slot the 9800X3D into an older board. You have to buy into the new AM5 motherboard platform. And because it's a new platform, your old memory is useless. You must buy a brand new kit of DDR5 RAM to even turn the system on. This graph breaks down the reality at checkout. You see a $500 sticker price for the processor, but by the time you add the required motherboard and the DDR5 RAM, you are staring at a total platform overhaul costing well over $800. It is incredibly easy to fall into the trap of component pricing. You focus on the CPU's price tag and completely miss the massive cost of the ecosystem required to run it. For an upgrader, a $500 MSRP simply does not exist. The performance gains have to be absolutely spectacular to justify an $800 leap. Let's test that justification against our first major scenario, playing graphically intense AAA games on a 4K monitor. Pushing 4K resolution requires rendering millions of pixels every second. That task falls entirely on your graphics card. Look at this load distribution. At 4K, your graphics card hits maximum capacity. It creates a hard bottleneck long before the 9800X3D breaks a sweat. You paid a massive premium for a processor sitting idle, waiting for an exhausted graphics card to catch up. If you run a CPU that costs half the price next to the 9800X3D on a 4K display, they will output the exact same frame rate. If you play at 4K, putting the 9800X3D in your cart actively harms your build. You are draining $200 away from your GPU budget, which is the only thing actually holding your frame rate back. So where does the CPU actually shine? We have to look at the exact opposite end of the spectrum. Highly competitive esports and simulation games running at 1080p or 1440p. AMD's 3D V-Cache physically stacks a massive block of high-speed memory directly on top of the processor die. Keeping this memory close to the cores eliminates micro-stutters, pulling up your lowest 1% frame drops and creating an incredibly flat, consistent frame delivery. If you play fast-paced competitive shooters, that consistency is exactly what you are paying for. Every millisecond of latency is erased. It dominates complex simulation games. Tracking tens of thousands of moving parts massively strains a CPU. This chip handles that math flawlessly. But there is a strict hardware toll here too. To physically see the smoothness the CPU generates, you must own an expensive, specialized monitor pushing 240 Hz or higher. The 9800X3D is a surgical tool. It solves frame pacing perfectly, provided you play the specific genres that require it and own the display technology required to see it. Now we need to address the hybrid user. The person who games, but also edits video, compiles code, or runs 3D rendering software. The 9800X3D has a hard physical limit. It only has 8 cores. That thick blanket of 3D V-Cache acts as an insulator, trapping heat. To prevent overheating, the processor is forced to run at lower clock speeds. In heavy workstation benchmarks, this chip falls noticeably behind similarly priced Intel competitors or higher core Ryzen options. In your daily routine, that translates directly to longer export times, slower rendering, and a sluggish workflow when trying to finish a project. If you use your PC to make money, you have to decide if squeezing out maximum gaming frame rates on the weekend is worth taking a daily penalty to your professional workflow. The 9800X3D is an incredible piece of engineering, but it is not a universal upgrade. Its actual value depends entirely on the components sitting on your desk right now. Let's run a quick logic audit to see if your setup actually qualifies for this processor. If your primary goal is heavy productivity, video editing, or 3D rendering, stop right here. You need a chip with more cores. If you are gaming first, check your monitor resolution. If you play at 4K, stop. Put that extra $200 toward a better graphics card. You will not notice a difference. If you are playing at 1080p or 1440p, look at your graphics card. Are you running a flagship GPU, pushing hundreds of frames per second and demanding the absolute lowest latency for competitive play? Then you are the ideal buyer. If you don't fit that exact profile, look for deep discounts on the older 7800X3D. It provides nearly identical gaming benefits for a fraction of the cost. A perfectly optimized PC comes from balancing your bottlenecks. Don't blindly buy the top of the product stack just because an affiliate list told you to. Find the part that fits your specific needs. This product is available through the link